Work harder, be stronger.
Be willing to be patient, I guess. Everything's a lot more at the end of the day than receiving.
Fight very hard
Please.
against anyone who wants to make you something that you are.
Don't give up.
I'm no one to be giving that advice.
I worry that they won't have so many opportunities. And I want them to be able to do what they want to do without having to do the cookie cutter. Go to school if you don't want to. Or be a mom. Or I just hope it isn't as chaotic and the government hasn't destroyed everything by then. And I mean, I just worry about taxes, but that's just how much the government takes, and we can be self-employed, and it's not fun. I dread tax time. I mean, I guess it'd be something better if you get something taken out of your paycheck every week, but for us it's scary, because for us we have to plan ahead. We have to put money aside. We can't just spend, because come April 15th, that's a shock every year. So hopefully when our kids get jobs, they won't have to deal with that, because it is very stressful. Well, I actually have considered not even having children, because I don't know if I want I'm kind of torn between thinking that bringing in a child into this world would be a good thing for them, just because of the world in general, where it seems like it's headed. But then I've also thought to myself, well, if I had a child and I raised it the way, I believe a child should be raised, with good morals, values, whatever, then maybe my child would make a difference. So, I don't know, I haven't definitively made a decision yet, so, what was the question? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not dead set on bringing a child into the world because, yeah, I'm just not sure it's a good world to bring a child into. I think my greatest concern today is and this may sound kind of strange, is the current tendency to mix faith and politics. And this concept of political correctness. If you don't think a certain way and act a certain way, believe in a certain thing, that somehow there is something wrong with you. Right now, I don't think it's a critical problem. I think we still have plenty of room for diversity. But I can see a time when it may become, you're way too young to remember, or you wouldn't remember because you haven't been born yet, but the McCarthy era, where people were prosecuted, persecuted for what they were, what they believed. If they weren't this quote unquote real American, that you were somehow wrong. And by real American, there was this very narrow definition of what a real American was. And I hate to see that happen again, but I can see it happening again. I can see with this evangelical movement in politics, or the power of the evangelical that we may come, and it's possible, it's probably not likely, but it is possible that we could become a country in which the ability to dissent, the ability to believe something different, could be prohibited, and that, I fear, for my children. It won't happen in my lifetime. At least I don't think so. I just worry that it won't happen. It's just the anxiety that I feel. I'll graduate in the spring, and now it's January, and I'm going to spend the entire month just blanket kind of sending out resumes and cover letters to the jobs that I think are interesting. Because having been here before, meaning graduating from higher education, and I did did work for a year on my undergrad, it's just a long process. And it's tiring. And I mean, searching for a job is almost a full-time job, because when you put yourself out there, you've got to make it look good so somebody actually picks up your resume and says, oh, I want to talk with this person. So it's just the anxiety that I carry in wanting to find a job that would hopefully certainly be fulfilling, but then also pay the bills enough to actually pay my student loans, because my schooling now is in nonprofit management. Jobs like that don't always pay a ton. So just being anxious about finding a job that fits with, what I went back to school for, that will actually help pay the bills and help pay off my student loans. When I was in high school, it was the early 70s, and everything was Vietnam. I remember wearing a bracelet with the prisoner of war's name on it, and I was the only one in high school that did that. The war was very opposed. There was a lot of pissed off people in this country. Every age, not just high school kids. Parents were pissed. The people who were there were pissed. I'm not sure they understood why they were there. Plus, I watched they returned, and they really weren't treated very well when they came back either. Although I do remember specifically watching the prisoner of war whose name I had get off a plane somewhere out west. They came back to different parts of the United States, but the guy whose name I had did happen to come back, but they were lucky he didn't. But the Vietnam War was probably the catalyst which caused such turmoil in the early 70s.
Just seems a shame. I watched my parents work extremely hard for very little. And although we always had everything we needed, they struggled. Very, very much so. My parents especially. Not that we really suffered for it, but there were times when my parents had difficulty putting food on the table. That's not to say there weren't times when I struggled or we didn't struggle as well. It was a case of when the kids were small, we had 3 kids, and although we both have always worked, it was sometimes that, okay, are we not going to pay this bill, or are we not going to do this? But I think from a futuristic standpoint, even though they're going to have a lot more education, just don't foresee, I would hope that they're able to be as comfortable as we have been, again, without being extravagant. But I think that they're going to have to work twice as hard, and it may take them twice as long, just with the economic picture that we have currently and in our near future. It's just going to be a little tougher for them.
I see myself happy, but at the same time, not where we should be, In 5 years, as far as parents go, I feel like they were already on the right track, they already had a job they were holding on to, stuff like that. Do I think I'm gonna have that in 5 years? Probably not. Might be jumping jobs the rest of my life, it might be. But the most important thing to me isn't job so much as people who you want to be with. So that's it right there. As far as getting a job, I know I'm going to work my butt off for it, but at the same time, I'm willing to work my butt off for it. In play, debt, I know I'm going to debt. I'm going to be in debt for a long time. Theaters, not as big as Buffalo, but kind of open, there's like a rebirth going on. So, yeah, it's not going to be anything great. I'll be able to get by on it, take care of the people that I love. I sure as hell hope so. I need to concentrate, not do this. No idea. Tyler, open this up. I don't know. My plan is I'm graduating and I'm gonna go work in the Baltimore DC district. Just want to work in that district for a little bit, see what it's like. I did have one actual professional gig this summer, and I just want to get more involved in it, see if it's definitely what I want to do. I'm kind of torn between performing and designing right now. And then I'm going to go to grad school to learn more, because I didn't learn enough here. And then I'm going to go to New York and be a performer. I don't need to be famous. I mean, if I end up being famous, like, plus. But I don't need to be famous, because as long as I can make a living. But I'm worried about a job. I mean, I can find jobs easy enough, but they don't pay that much, or they're not that full-time jobs, so I'm just terrified of what I'm going to be doing. So right now, I'm just looking for a part-time job, like a day job, you know. I'm a day job, I'm a night actor. So I'm just looking for something criminal justice-wise, maybe be a paralegal, work in the courts during the day, performing at night, but, you know, just hope for the best, just, you know, working for as many people as I can, just making connections and auditioning, and hope for the best. The future generation, what I worry as related to the question you asked to ahead of this. The future generation will have a lower living standard. I don't know the way to fix it. Overconsumption, how do you fix it? Like a utilitarian, and they cut the retirement pension, and the old people suffer, and then they die faster, and the nation be saved from the debt. I don't know, that's a good solution for now, there's no question about that. But when you're making the money, increase the production and the money using consumption, that will be a bigger national debt, okay? And when you, at that level, go to beyond certain GDP level, that is going to affect it, okay? You have to put in the money or dilute. When you put in the money, the dollar value will be dilute and you have super inflation. So the future generation might have more money in denominational size, but their living standard might be lower because of the variation of the dollar. I think the perception of other nations that America is self-indulgent. Wait, I want to start over. I think the perception of other nations that they see us as a wealthy country that uses its resources in ways that are, again, self-indulgent. No, I don't think evil is the word, but I think they see it as we use our resources in ways that could harm maybe their ways of life. I think the economy's off right now, so it's difficult to find a job and to have your wages high enough to have a standard of living that your parents have right now. But I think that's short term and within 15 years, that's all going to change. I actually have a lot of faith. I think the next generation is going to be fantastic. I think they're going to exceed in ways that we haven't even thought of yet. So I think it's going to be good. Yeah. I work in a restaurant, and sometimes you see a couple on a date, and their face is just buried in their iPhones. They're just not talking to one another. They're just more concerned with what's going on the computer in front of them, and less than, the actual relationship. It definitely makes communicating easier, but social communication, one-on-one interaction, nah, takes away from it. And it's definitely going to be more difficult in the future. And the whole idea of cyberbullying with Facebook with kids brings up the question, how do you introduce Facebook to your kids when they're growing up? How do you introduce cell phones to them when they're growing up? Because you want them to learn social interaction, but you also want to be connected, so it's going to be a tough issue to juggle.
Good question. Trying to show Americans are materialistic, aren't you? Probably. Oh, I know. I would miss like photo albums and home movies and stuff more than. I know you're expecting like, oh, I can't live without my cell phone. I couldn't give a shit, to be honest. Like, I hate my phone. It's a piece of shit. Like, whatever. Like, oh my god, I'm sorry, but I always go through that scenario, like, if my house is on fire, what would I throw off first? And I always go to photo albums and stuff, especially when you start getting older, and your family members start getting older, and you start losing your family, and you have pictures of them, like, that, like, really hits me hard, and, like, I always want those things that are connected with my family, because I think that's usually what should be most important is your family.
I feel like a lot of people don't understand America because they're not actually in America, but a lot of things have valid points to them. Like, a lot of people criticize America when we didn't go to that war, when we had that war on terror and France wouldn't side with us. But they had every reason not to side with us. It's their choice, it's their country. They should be able to make the decision that they want to. And sometimes it's not so much that they judge America wrong, it's that they judge Americans wrong. They may think that we're all like that, but we're all not. A lot of us Americans don't agree with a lot of American choices. So we're not all, yay America, like everyone thinks we are. Unfairly criticized. Well, I would have to know what they criticize America about. Well, I am not from America, and in my country, which is Haiti, I know that there are criticisms, but I would not say that they are unfair. So I know it's criticized by other countries too, but I do not have an exact answer for that. Can I recall a time when it was viewed differently? Well, coming from a different country, it can be pretty. I can see the question in a different view than you might see. We in Haiti, I'll speak as I am from Haiti, I'm not really American. We in Haiti see America as it is, like the greatest, what shall I say, economical power or something? And we, well, personally, I see people here as friendly. And the changes that are being done that we think are positive, until you might actually be here and say, oh, it's not what it really is, and it's not what I actually thought. So we in Haiti have a pretty positive view of America. It's no longer something we can pretend doesn't exist. In the 50s, the Cold War gave us the ability to look at the world and say, well, it could end any day now. And it made us pull back, I think, on the sort of destructive nature of the sort of, military mentality. But I don't think that militarily is what we have to fear right now. It's a destruction of spirit more than a destruction of the physical country. And it would make us an easy target. A hopeless people is one in which it's easy to overtake. And I hate to see us get to that point.